Airbases are extremely strategic locations that the military relies on for the transportation of troops, supplies, and other important resources to fund their war effort. In a never-ending quest to have the best technology and runways available, conventional airports are left to rot in some countries as newer ones take their place. The airplanes that once filled these bases have gone neglected as well as time continues to pass us by. From airfields that were used in the Cold War to even personal planes used by Elvis, here are abandoned and forgotten aircraft and bases. But before we get on to the video, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe for more new cool videos right here on American Eye. Number 12. Plane Graveyard, Grenada. This Caribbean island is jam-packed full of history and culture. It gets the nickname the Spice of the Caribbean to promote tourism on the upbeat and adventurous destination. However, in 1983, this island was actually invaded by the US, who was worried about a pro-communist regime starting there. Once that was over, we started using it for our own purposes. Relics from the Cold War remain abandoned at this field, and some planes are completely consumed by vegetation. This area was once the first airbase of Grenada, and it was given the nickname of the Pearls Airport. It's found in the eastern part of the country next to the sea. Marines were able to capture the area with little resistance using helicopter support. You can still find an abandoned Cubana airliner here as well as some animals who graze over it. There is some talk of turning it into a go-kart racing track, but airplanes will have to take off and land somewhere else now. Number 11. The Ciroc Airport. The Ciroc Airport found in the Philippines used to be in full active use in order to transport workers to copper mining areas that were present in the 1990s. It was primarily a base for commercial use. It was eventually shut down in 2006, but may receive an occasional plane or two for tourists who want to see the vast jungles of the area. There are some plans to renovate the airport, but as of right now, it's looking pretty abandoned. Here we see the ruins of an abandoned office building, which at one point would have been used to house people for air traffic control. There is no word on when or if it'll ever return to its former glory. As of right now, it's only operational a few times a year. The Hortenho 229. You might notice that this aircraft already looks slightly similar to modern-day stealth bombers, and if the Nazis were around a little bit longer, it could have been a devastating weapon used by the Allies. It was designed as a flying wing with jet power and was intended to carry 1,000 kilograms of bombs a distance of 1,000 kilometers. They already had an advanced knowledge when it came to jet power and developed the first jet fighter known as a Messerschmitt, which was actually far ahead of its time. They weren't able to make enough changes to this one after a prototype had crashed. It's also believed they were able to fit this plane with some form of anti-radar material made from charcoal dust. The only surviving copy of the Hortenho 229 is at the Smithsonian Museum in Washington, D.C. Number 9. Lesotho Defense Force. The landlocked country of Lesotho, that's completely surrounded by South Africa, isn't known for having the most impressive air force in the world. The government spends an estimated $32 million each year, which is far less than one of our fighter aircrafts. They have about 105 helicopters, and a few of those were donated by Libya. The abandoned plane that we see here is what's left over from a rough crash landing. The Casa C-212 has notable nose and body damage and was likely scrapped for parts shortly after this photo was taken. Number 8. Nicosia Airport, Cyprus. The Nicosia Airport on the Mediterranean island of Cyprus has a long history and it was once one of the main airports on this island nation. It's been used as an airbase during World War II for the Allies to launch attacks on North Africa. In 1974, the unexpected event took place when Turkey sent armed forces onto the island of Cyprus. The airport became a scene of heavy fighting between Cyprus and the Turks. It's been abandoned ever since, however the runway is occasionally used by the UN during peacekeeping missions. Here we see some of the seats on the inside of the airport deteriorating inside one of the terminals. The Turks claimed that ethnic Turkish people were actually under attack and they wanted to save them. As a result, the city of Varosha became completely abandoned as well. Luckily, photographers were still able to snatch some good photos of the abandoned air bases in this area, although it's forbidden by the Turkish. Number 7. Abandoned Airbase, Crete. One of the creepier abandoned US air bases in Europe would of course be the one located on the island of Crete known as Ciroc Air Station. Although the base was a non-flying facility, it handled logistical administrative support to the US Air Force and to NATO. In 1954, it officially opened and was used throughout the Cold War era. What also looks like some kind of haunted abandoned middle school has fallen into complete decay and buildings are beginning to crumble. It's believed that the base was abandoned in 1994 and much of it has been looted or vandalized. This place is also in serious need of a weed whacker if they ever plan on using this land again. It's believed that part of the site is used as an aquarium and a dinosaur park. Number 6. Croydon Airport, UK. This historical airport has seen legendary pilots such as Charles Lindbergh during a transatlantic flight in 1927 and even pilot lessons by Winston Churchill. It was originally built during World War I after the Zeppelin bombing raid on London took place and is the first major international airport constructed by the UK. It was rapidly constructed, complete with factories to build planes and munitions. As of right now, however, it is basically a giant museum. Although much of the runway has been built over, the main terminal has been preserved and is known as the Airport House. The Croydon Airport was a target during World War II, and in 1940, it was the site of a major air raid in the London area. The main armory was destroyed during the Battle of Britain, and the civilian airport also took a hit. It was quite difficult to defend the attack, and it wasn't much again until 1944. With suburban areas beginning to expand, in 1952, it was decided that the airport would close down, and in 1959, it saw its last flight. As you walk around the area, you can still see quite clearly that parts of it still stand as a memorial for those who fought in order to keep Britain free. Number 5. Bali Abandoned Aircraft. The island of Bali is known around the world as being a top place for going on a resort-style vacation. However, some tourists might be surprised to come across this abandoned Boeing 737. It's not on a runway, but actually found in a limestone quarry. You can find it on Google Earth on the southeastern coast of Bukit Peninsula, only minutes from beautiful beaches. It's believed that the owner of the aircraft had trouble paying it off and it just slowly started rusting away. Keeping up with those private plane expenses can get a little bit rough. It's located on private property, but photographers and urban explorers might pay the price to check it out. On Street View, you can see parts of the tail popping out, but local guides suggest climbing up on top of one of the containers if you want a quick look. Number 4. Popsa Airfield. Situated just a few miles away from the town of Popsa, a creepy abandoned runway is left abandoned. This was once used to store long-range aircraft, possibly long enough to run attacks on the US. The Soviet military operated this base since they took over Estonia in the mid-1940s. It was mostly used for interceptor jets in the case that the US decided to attack Russia during the Cold War. The facility had 28 plane hangars and is still sitting in an open airfield as a reminder of Estonia's occupied past. No one has really seen a reason to completely destroy the airfield, and in fact, they began to use it for drag races. You might even see some kind of drifting going on here, which technically isn't illegal in Estonia. What's even spookier is that the cement plane hangars have all their metal doors removed. The creepy buildings from the past also seem to double as echo chambers, and they were all so well built that they reflect any noise made inside. Number 3. Nikon Abandoned Airport Planes. Formerly the main international airport of Athens, it was located in a nearby suburb and served roughly 11 million passengers each year on average. Built in 1938, it was under German occupation for quite some time, and it was transformed into an airbase. Later on, it was utilized as an American airbase, but the last flight took place here in 2011. A few planes have been stuck here ever since, and who knows if they'll ever soar through the skies again. Here we see an aerial view of some of the Olympia airline passenger planes that are most likely having some mechanical issues. The new airport used for the Athenians and travelers is found to the east of this forgotten area. You also have to wonder why they're censored from Google Maps too. Number 2. Lockheed Jetstar Hound Dog 2. Elvis Presley was known for owning a Lockheed Jetstar known as the Hound Dog, which is displayed at Graceland, as well as Lisa Marie, who was named after his daughter. The Hound Dog used to transport the king of rock and roll to various concerts or pretty much everywhere he wanted to go. The planes cannot fly, so they'll likely be sold to private buyers sometime in the near future, which has upset many Elvis fans. As of right now, though, you can see 2 planes currently parked at Graceland, so they should still be there. And number 1, the Douglas Super DC3. On the mysterious black sands of a beach in Iceland lies a piece of abandoned aircraft. On November 24, 1973, a U.S. Navy airplane was forced to crash land on a remote beach south of the capital of Reykjavik. It appears as though it remained untouched for over 40 years until a farmer came across it in 2014. All the windows are smashed from the inside and both wings are missing. All the crew survived the crash, but it seems to be a mystery why it was forced to crash land in the first place. Some believe it was from horrific weather conditions in the North Atlantic. But this took place during the Cold War, so is it possible it was shot down by the Soviets? Others claim that it just simply ran out of fuel, forcing them to land in Iceland. What you see here are some drone images of the plane from an aerial view, and it's kind of hard to tell if it's actually a plane or not.